You're listening to the Podcast Detroit Network. Visit www.podcastdetroit.com for more information.
This is a previously recorded episode of the ITintheD Show.
Welcome. You are listening to the ITintheD Show. We have made it all the way to episode 174. This is 174, right, Dave? Last week I said
It is. You are actually accurate this week.
We have a Pack Jam studio. First of all, we're going to have our annual toy drive for Operation Kid Equip on December 8th at Falling Down Brewery. Just want to make sure you mark your calendars. We have the proprietor of Falling Down Beer Company, Mark Larson, is in the house. Whoop, whoop. We have Michael here from Operation Kid Equip talking about this amazing charity and kind of a new thing that he's doing to helping out families in the Metro Detroit area. Last but not least, Dr. Hook Jeremiah from Daily Detroit and Sven is in the house talking about some cool stuff going on in the city. So speaking of podcasts, Dave.
So, hey, here's the deal. So have you ever been watching a movie and gone, well, why don't they just fix the problem like that? Well, of course, then there probably wouldn't be a movie. But tech pioneer VMware said, screw that. We're going to go ahead and turn this idea into a podcast. So they dropped a couple of IT guys, what can possibly go wrong with that, into classic sci-fi movies like Star Wars, The Matrix, The Terminator, to plug the technology plot holes. Super clever and funny. It's called IT is Greater Than Sci-Fi, and you can listen at vmware.com/radius/sci-fi, or actually, we actually have them all cross-posted now out on the SoundCloud feed for Podcast Detroit and ITintheD, or you can also download them from iTunes. So give them a look. It's IT is Greater Than Sci-Fi from VMware.
The following program is intended for mature audiences.
This is Max Headroom, and what you're about to witness is one of the most sinister-sounding intros to a trailer to one of the greatest epics ever.
You're listening to the ITintheD Show.
This is Billy D. Williams. Bob and Dave and I are enjoying a Colt 45 right now. And remember, ITintheD, it works every time.
Where do you guys think you are? The Library of Congress? Detroit? Beyond the Sun? Any of those right?
Hi, this is Jeremy London from Mallrats, and I'm just wondering, how did I go from Hot Floridian Sex with Brandy Spinning to the ITintheD Show?
Take him to Detroit. No, not Detroit. No, please. Anything with that. No.
I used to hang out at the Magumbo Bar. It was a rough place, the seediest dive on the wharf, populated with every reject and cutthroat from Bombay to Calcutta. It's worse than Detroit.
You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Then don't come! Shut up!
Dig, you IT geeks. This is Dre DeMatteo from Sons of Anarchy. You are listening to ITintheD.
So what happens when you tap the angry beaver in the bumhole?
Exactly.
Come on. Someone tries.
What the hell with this? I'm calling a break. We'll come back to the ITintheD Show.
What's up, everybody? This is Billy Zapka. Sweep the leg. Listening to ITintheD Show. No mercy.
I may have to wipe the heat off.
Hi, this is Martin Cove, John Kreese from the Karate Kid movie, and you're listening to ITintheD.
Are we at a break yet?
Hi, I'm Ernie Hudson, and you're listening to ITintheD. All you nerds out there.
Nerds.
What is a nerd?
I'm a nerd, and I'm pretty proud of it.
This is Scott Steiner, Big Pump. ITintheD Show is your hookup. Holler if you hear me.
You're in your underwear? I'm in my underwear. Here, let's hang out.
No, I'm sorry, honey. I have a headache.
I definitely want to see Bob in his underwear. That's a fact.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
It's just too big. How big? It's way too big.
I can get it all the way in.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
We just lost our clean tag on iTunes.
But it's delicious.
This is Robert Hayes, Ted Stryker to my mother. When I'm not hanging out at the Magumbo Bar, I'm listening to the ITintheD Show. It's worse than Detroit.
Is there such thing as a meat hangover?
I love my Monday meat steak.
Hey, folks, this is WWE Hall of Famer Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and you're listening to the ITintheD Show. The tough guy. Oh!
What would you little maniacs like to do first?
The question isn't what are we going to do. The question is what aren't we going to do.
Ludicrous speed! Sir, had you better buckle up? Buckle this! Ludicrous speed! Go!
Welcome. Thank you for listening. This is the one and only IT in the D show. We're broadcasting here live in Studio One in Podcast Detroit in beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the Sales Guy hanging out with Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG, looking dapper tonight. Find us online.
It's going to Prohibition Day party, see? Meh.
It's a beautiful day today. Prohibition was repealed today. What, 78 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago?
They say beer is both the cause of and solution to all of man's problems.
Thank you, Homer Simpson.
Thank you, Homer Simpson.
Find us online, ITintheD.com. And do us a favor, subscribe to our podcast on the iTunes and on the Google Plays.
Both of them.
And on the SoundClouds and on the Stitchers and anywhere fine podcasts
Subscribe
are sold.
early, subscribe often.
Exactly. Thank you to Randy and Ian for filling up our Twitters. You can follow us on all the socials as well, where we put stupid links and stupid pictures up, which is what we do. But hey, we have a phenomenal guest lineup tonight. Segment 2, we are joined by the proprietor of Falling Down Beer Company, Mark Larson, who's been on the show many, many times and supplies the studio with delicious beer.
Many, many beers.
Right. Exactly. Also joined by Michael from Operation Kid Equip. We'll lead into why these two are here in a minute. And last but not least, we have Dr. Hook Jeremiah here from Daily Detroit, along with Sven, talking all things Detroit.
One of these days, we're going to need a segment 5 to explain that nickname.
No, never. We'll need a whole podcast.
It'll be a narrative show. It'll be like This American Life.
Right.
Can I do interpretive dance while you're narrating this? I will.
Mark your calendars and come see us. We are on the eve of December the 8th, our annual charity party, Christmas party.
Merry, happy Christmas Kwanzaa.
Drink party, all things party. We're going to be at Falling Down Beer Company on 10 Mile in DeQuinder, hanging out with Mr. Mark Larson himself and helping out families in need for Operation Kid Equip. We'll get to all that in segment 3. Yep. But we are, we're all things are a go.
We are live. So, hey, let's talk about the big elephant in the room.
Me?
No. Well, you did eat Comet Burger later.
I
so
did.
I'm
It was
a little
yummy.
worried about that. So, or earlier. Tesla snuck in under the radar and opened up a showroom that's not a showroom in Nordstrom in Somerset.
So it's kind of like the Blues Brothers. Hey, new Oldsmobiles are in early this year. They opened up retail in a mall. And you remember that
they opened? No, it's
in Nordstrom. Yeah,
it's in the kiosk. It's like a kiosk.
It's like behind the Shinola, past the purses, to the left of the sunglasses.
So all the dads have things to do now while the wives are trying on dresses. Usually they would just sit there with that look on their face, sitting on the.
You stuck here with a purse?
Yeah, exactly.
So you can't actually buy one there, right?
No,
basically
no.
Just to look
they won't
at
even
them.
talk pricing with you.
Well, and
really,
and it says "not for sale" all over it.
It's, you know what this is the equivalent of? You remember last year where that guy constructed that like 8-foot copper middle finger in his backyard to point at his neighbor's house?
Oh, the strip club guy.
Yes.
That owns Coliseum. And
I don't know which ones.
Markowitz.
But this is Tesla's version of the big, huge copper middle finger.
It actually is, because if you think about it, so he did that because his wife left him for his neighbor. And so he erected the 20-foot giant middle finger in his backyard, pointed at their house. So, yeah, this is literally like, what, a mile down the road?
Exactly. In our story, it was exactly 1 mile down the road.
From
On the same side
Dada.
of the street.
Nada.
No, Dada, the Detroit Area Dealers
I
Alliance.
thought it was North American.
Who produces the auto show.
Okay, but it's
Dada.
here, it's Dada.
Fine.
Actually, it's Nada.
Fine. You're I don't even
da.
Right, exactly.
And the interesting thing about the whole thing is that it is a middle finger, because last year Tesla applied for a Class A dealership license, and basically it was shot down.
And now they're suing.
And now they're like the day after they sued, and it's like, well, fine, we're just going to go ahead.
And talking to legal experts behind the scenes, Tesla's got a shot. They've got a real shot at pulling this thing off.
Well, we know people that own Teslas. They went to Chicago to buy them.
Or to Toledo, right?
Or to, Cleveland.
Yeah.
Cleveland is the next. Cleveland, like 3.5 hour drive.
So Howard the Duck and Teslas.
Right, right.
If somebody wants one bad enough, it's having a store here is not going to change things, right?
No.
Like for me, for instance, I would drive as well to find a Tesla and test drive it.
It's no different than wanting Yingling beer or getting Coors across the Mississippi, right? It's going to be like, see, that's the modern day movie, Smokey and the Bandit.
Brown and Down, yeah.
Yeah. I need me a Tesla and 10 cases of Yingling by tomorrow morning. There's going to be
They're driving in Atlanta, and there's Teslas in Texarkana.
Right. Exactly. But like, if people watch, they're going to go get it. It's not going to stop anyone. A 3.5 hour drive is nothing. I took a 3.5 hour nap today. It was nothing. I'm just saying.
Well, and they're smart too because it seems like they're really taking a lesson off of all the things. What have we learned in the last political election cycle? You got to talk to people, and it's going to make a difference. And when we were out there, and we were talking to their guide or whatever they called it, they were definitely clear about what was happening, why you couldn't buy a Tesla, and imagine that it's basically like they've got a lobbying arm talking to average people who are all sitting there going, literally, why can't I buy this?
You cannot have that. You cannot afford it. Well, I can't afford it. I can't have it.
Well, it's the pretty sweet gull wing. What is it? The Z Model
X.
Yeah,
You can stand in the back with the gull wing because it's so tall. A 6-foot tall man can stand in the back.
It's pretty.
Well, it's like the Silicon Valley with like the doors go like this. They don't go like this.
Yeah.
Rich people have doors that go like
But rich people have doors that go up.
So speaking of cars, our friend Jordan at the Art of Charm posted on Facebook this weekend.
Yeah.
And he saw himself one of them driverless Ubers in San Francisco this weekend.
I would never get in one.
No.
It's not going to happen.
No, I thought it was bad enough in like Total Recall, getting in with like that Johnny Cab, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. No, I'm not getting in Johnny Cab.
You're going to wind up, again,
ripping it out and driving yourself.
Back to Silicon Valley. You're going to wind up in a shipping container heading off to China.
Right. See, they foresee all the things. They're like the Simpsons of modern day. But like, would you get in?
No. It's not even a question.
Yeah.
No.
Because, I don't know this answer to this, Neri. I don't know if you knew more. They have Pennsylvania plates. Apparently, they're coming from Pittsburgh.
I wonder if that's any way to they have some kind of like legislation.
It's through Carnegie Mellon.
Oh,
so a lot of the research is being done in a partnership with the university there, and so that's why it's all coming out of Pittsburgh, is because that's where all the brains are for this.
I wonder if they give you a chance, right? So like when you call an Uber, is going to say, by the way, this is a self-driving Uber.
No, it's free. There's a whole bunch of when
you get the little app and it shows, hey, Bob's your driver. Hey, your driver is no one.
Yeah, blank.
Because car pulls up without a driver. I'm looking for the punked cameras. That's what I'm doing.
Steal this car.
Like what? Again, is there cameras on you? Like what happens if you throw up in the Uber or the driverless?
What happens if the driverless drives like an asshole and cuts people off?
What happens if it gets into an accident?
And you're sitting in the backseat going, I didn't do nothing.
Did you see that snowstorm in Montreal where they just kept sliding?
Yeah, all
down
the buses.
Today? All the buses. Imagine being in a driverless Uber in that situation. That'd be terrifying.
Well, speaking of San Francisco, did you see that ransomware hit the train system in?
Yeah, it hit the turnstiles.
It hit the turnstiles. So basically they were shut down?
Yeah, you could not pay to get on the public transit system.
So how did they open that thing up?
It's all free.
It's just free until they paid the ransomware to get it opened up?
They said that they did not pay and that they actually hand-wrote signs that said free today, and the turnstiles themselves said out of order. So basically people just walk through the gates and onto the train.
We talk about that all the time with data security. Nobody thinks of those kind of endpoints as needing security.
Every endpoint needs security.
Yeah.
If it has an IP address.
Well, I remember. No, let's not start this today. No, but when I was at Dell Security, we one of our biggest customers was a parking garage company who got PCI compliant firewalls because it was they needed to lock those things down and secure them when people paid from credit card at these remote, these manless stations. But at least they had the foresight to see this. Who knows what this train station had in terms of data security?
Well, you think the city of San Francisco would be pretty good at it. I'd hope they would.
Yeah.
They had it back online in one day, so obviously they did something right. So restore from backup or whatever. But speaking of things that get infected by things, pretty random, right? Did you guys see the cable modems over in Europe right now getting impacted by the Mirai botnet?
Yeah.
So the same botnet.
And the D-Link routers. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Zyzel or something. Which is
those are I know the it's like the crap brand at Walmart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so apparently there were over 1 million customers in Europe impacted with this botnet because of an open port and a default password. So apparently it scans 61 default passwords and can basically break into anything sitting on the internet that hasn't had its password changed.
Well, yeah, because they're always either blank or
admin or tech.
Yeah.
Or, right. Yeah, exactly.
Who changes their ISP router? No one.
The very first thing I do.
If this is your cable modem, though, the ISP should.
Yeah.
It should have some kind of good password rotation. So
Not everyone has a personal Dave.
Everyone should.
No, because if you ask him to fix it, he'll go, I'll see you in 6 years.
Turn it off and back on again and call me back.
Exactly.
Have you rebooted it?
Like you have no idea, Jeremiah, the pain that I have to go through in my life to fix it myself before I call Dave. A, for the mocking that he's going to say, you stupid, you don't know how to change your password. And then like to get him to come over the house is like at least like 4,700 filet mignons.
Yeah, it's clear. I was thinking to myself, it's clear that you don't give him enough booze when he comes over.
Oh no, there's plenty of booze. Right, but it's like the meme we put on our Facebook page. Like the doctor's like, I can't give advice outside the office. Oh, by the way, can you look at my laptop?
Yeah, my laptop's running a little slow.
Right.
One of our favorite international stories, the Japanese people can be weird. Story that hit this week. Can be, yeah. So apparently they opened up a skating rink that has 5,000 fish in the ice. And apparently, like, PETA lost their minds at first, and then they explained, well, no, we went to the fish market and bought the non-food grade fish and put those fish. It's not like they had living fish that they then put in and froze. Because if you see it, it's like they're all in formation, like they were swimming around in schools and stuff. So, like, it looks like they were flash frozen.
It's art. It's absolutely art. It's
it looks ridiculous.
It also creeped out all the children.
Oh, yeah, the kids were freaked out.
So you don't eat them afterwards?
No, they're frozen in the ice.
Then what's the big deal?
Because animal cruelty and it was.
Can't you just put rubber ones in there? Why do they have to put real fish?
So apparently they did with like the manta rays and that kind of stuff. They're in there. Those are just pictures that are frozen in there, but all the fish are fish.
You think with like laser, you could just like shoot movies, like
3D print a fish,
play Finding Dory.
Aren't there fat heads for these things?
You would think.
Damn Japanese.
Yeah, that one just blew my mind.
So we trip over like a little fish sticking out of the ice, like if it wears down a little bit.
Oh, that would be my whole goal. Would be like keep doing the hockey stop.
Thaws,
oh, that'd be gross.
That'd be horrible.
Yeah.
It would just get worse and worse and be all contained because, ice rinks are like.
And then they have a sale on sushi on Friday.
Oh, yeah, because you know that would happen.
Yeah.
So how much are you looking forward to the Cheetos quesadilla making its stateside, Bob?
Do I have it? Can I have it now?
It's only in the Philippines.
I'm driving to the Philippines tomorrow. I'm driving all the way.
I wonder what Easter egg that would unlock in Google Maps.
So what is it? Hold on. What is a Cheetos quesadilla?
It's a Cheetos crusted quesadilla.
Oh,
a quesadilla.
Remember we tried Remember? God, we tried the Burger King cheese stick. Those are horrible.
Oh yeah, those were not good.
I don't care.
The mac and cheese.
Yeah,
things? No, those were not immune.
Doritos shell good.
Yeah.
Cheetos quesadilla.
I wonder what the nutritional value is of that. Actually,
none.
Nutritional value, none.
Exactly.
Yeah, minus 400. Yeah, is what I'm thinking.
Does like Cheetos like ship like bags of like Cheeto powder? Is that how that works? Is that even a thing?
That stuff causes cancer in lab rats.
It's all reconstituted like Cheetos powder. It's like
someone's job
Cheetos
is
are
to
like the MDF of like the snack world.
Someone's job is to engineer Cheeto powder,
or they have child labor where they have like small mouths.
I believe that more than I believe that.
Or just give the kids bags and let them mess with them for a couple hours. Yeah, and then you have Cheeto dust. We're huge fans. Well, not huge. We're fans of the whole medical marijuana thing. I think we're all in favor of it here.
I'm actually the huge fan of the room, but
yeah,
right.
No, you're not necessarily a huge fan of medical marijuana.
He has so many conditions, Dave. So many.
But even I had to sit back and question this one. Apparently, there's one doctor in the state of Michigan who certified 11,800 patients this year.
Wait, let me math. How many was that?
There's actually some really interesting
20.
math.
That's 200 a week.
Yeah.
So in 2011, the average, you had to basically see 18 patients per day, work 240 days a year, and then you'd only have 2,160 patients. That's it. That's 18 people a day. 2,160.
Well, we go to Hamtramck a lot.
It was 5x that.
Yeah, we go to Hamtramck a lot, and I remember like there was like an outpatient place, and there was 20, 30 people out in line. It was almost like Punchki Day, and I'm like, and I asked my wife, and I go, "What is that?" She goes,
"No,
"Oh my god,
after you smoke them."
Right. She goes, "That's one of those quack doctors. He's handing out pain scripts."
Yeah, here's your $200. Here's your script.
Actually, there are dispensaries in town that actually have doctors that come into their office. So, like, you could actually go into the dispensary, see a quote doctor,
a quote doctor,
and get a quote marijuana card. And
So speaking of certified and purchase
and buy it right then because they trust a doctor, and then they'll actually, without a card, they're going to go ahead and give you pot right there at the store.
Well, it's funny how society changes, and since it's Prohibition Repeal Day. One of the things I bought for my wife, she's a physician assistant. She writes scripts for pain medicine. Doctors during Prohibition would prescribe whiskey, rum, vodka, gin. And so I have like an original slip from like 1931, like for a doctor prescribing booze as an ailment cure.
So have you ever brought that to CVS just for kicks?
Yeah, exactly. I'll take the Kraken. Did they have Kraken back then? Like, they should have. But you talk, you're going through the whole experiment with cutting the cord, and we talk about this all the time.
Yeah, and I'm actually at the point where the boxes are going back. I've got all the TVs all cured up. Everything's all Roku'd up and ready to go.
But if you think you're sticking it to the man.
This made me so sad.
Someone ran through and did the math.
And we hate when we love it when we're the ones that do math. We hate it when other people do the math.
And I don't think that you think you're sticking it to the Comcast, and you're kind of not. I think they're kind of laughing at you.
$5.
They lose $5
when you cut the cord. When you
it's not even worth the price of the cord that you've cut.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. The HDMI cable I bought for the Roku box was more expensive than $5.
Does that account into, though, the carrier fees that networks sometimes pay?
Yep.
Okay.
All of it.
Because like the mathing that they did was the whole.
I love how mathing's a verb.
It is now. It's like summer. We summer and now we math. It was the people that return their cable boxes tend to bump up their cable modem speed, and even without bumping,
and then the price goes up anyway.
Well, and even without bumping up the cable modem speed, because you're unbundling, the price goes up, and so it all nets out that you're costing them $5, which made me sad because it's almost like keep the box.
Go ahead, cut the cord. See if I care.
Well, and depending on what you want to do, you can't cut the cord completely like sports.
Well, you can get the Sling app on the Roku, and then you've got a lot of the sports channels as well as all the local access channels.
By the time you cut Comcast, then you add Roku, add Sling, add Hulu Plus, add Netflix. You're almost paying the same as you would have paid without
minus. So actually, because that was part of all this, I did the math. Minus the dropping the cable boxes, and even with the subscriptions and all that stuff that I've added, still nets out at over $100 cheaper, and that's with the cable modem and all that fun
per
stuff.
year, per month.
Per month.
Whoa!
I could see where this could really start to add up if you have like multiple TVs. If you have 5 or 6 boxes,
I do.
Okay. Yeah, I just have one.
I got the keys.
I'm for HD DVRs.
Yep.
I don't. It's not cheap in my house.
Wow.
Well, and
That's
now
a whole different world than the one I live in.
Well, well, so now now that you know that baby TV is available on the Roku, that was his big cord cutting holdback because the baby would annihilate his entire house.
Burn the house down if there isn't that. Oh my God, that's a worst channel. Whoever, I don't even know how people could sit and make, like, we talk about writing TV stuff and all that. This is the funny thing. Can I talk about this real quick?
It's your podcast.
If I say no, does it really matter?
Like baby TV, they have a segment
where
they
this
have
is a network.
Yes,
I thought you were talking about like your child being upset or something.
No, it's a network.
It's a network,
baby TV.
But they have one segment there where they talk about food, and like the Italian guy is like, "Hey, I'm making the pasta," and he talks like that.
It's the Family Guy, boopity beepity boppity boopity.
No, seriously. And then here's the Mexican guy with a sombrero with the accent, and here's like the Japanese guy with the eyes and like a caricature with the accent. I go, how do they get away with putting this for like 2-year-old kids?
Dude, if we did that at our age, we'd be assassinated.
Seriously.
You'd be on Flashpoint again.
I'll find it on YouTube and send it to you. It's insane. Speaking of YouTube, I just found out something. Like, one of my ideas I had, like, I always had, we go to the bar and get drunk and come up with stupid business ideas. I always thought it'd be cool to have like a 7-Eleven unmanned, which is vending machines, right? Where you walk in, swipe card, and you just 24 hours unmanned, just buy what you want, get the hell out.
Yeah.
Right. You can't have whatever. So Amazon for 4 years has been writing code almost similar to the self-driving car code, where they have a 7-Eleven style store where you walk in, scan your app as you walk in. It's unmanned. You buy your things. You walk out. It gets billed to your Amazon account. It's called Amazon Go. And they just opened their first one in Bellevue.
Yes, please.
And yeah, everyone's got their reusable bag, and they put their shit in the bag.
See,
and then there's no lines, no cashiers, no checkouts, no coupons.
The only thing that worries me about that is, so like Pennsylvania has like automated booze kiosks that you can go to. You can go and like buy a bottle of wine or, get bottles or whatever else you want to get. The thing I don't like about them whenever I've been there is that you've got to, because obviously it's an age verification thing. So you've got to like swipe your ID kind of like you do a credit card, and then you're in a database that you are, and you know me, I don't like, so I'm curious as to where all that data goes and what they do.
So they showed like someone taking something off the wall, putting it back on the wall, taking it off the wall again. And it knows when you've taken it off the wall. It knows when you've looked at something.
When you've been sleeping.
Yeah.
It knows when you're awake.
Totally. Santa Claus is coming to town.
So it's not RFIDs, basically.
It's not RFID because Walmart tried to do the RFID thing, and they realized that it was more expensive. Yeah, especially for low cost, low margin. It's low margin. Groceries low margin anyway. This is machine learning. Basically video. It knows your eye patterns. It sees when you like look at something for more than 3 seconds and not buy it, and why didn't you buy it? Was the price too high? It shows when you grab something and put it back, and there's analytics and big machine learning. I don't even know half the crap that goes into this, but they know everything about you. It's worse than Minority. This is way worse than Minority Report going, good morning, Mr. Phillips. Would you like to buy another?
Your 30-pack of PBR and Slim Jims are located at aisle 3.
Is it different than going to Meijer and then punching in your like Imperks number? It's basically the same damn thing.
No, but they're following your behavior patterns.
Well, they do on video anyway.
But no one. It's not going into analytics databases, Jer, with your eye patterns and what you grab.
I think that
there's tracking on your cell phone where they know like your foot patterns,
right?
But it doesn't show your behavior patterns. This is getting it to another level.
It's going to happen, and it's just the way things are going to be because there is so much money that flows through groceries. But if you can change just 1% of margin with something like this, and you could definitely
it's millions of dollars. Yeah,
you're talking about millions and millions of dollars. It's like this is something that I feel like in certain areas of the country, this is just going to happen. Now, there's going to be some areas of the country where you can't do this.
It's going to be big city,
especially areas where basically the population has to use cash.
It's Manhattan. It's big city.
Bellevue's like basically a suburb of Seattle.
Yeah,
Expedia it's super affluent.
It's not going to be in Des Moines. You're not going to see this
Southside
in
Chicago.
rural. No, you're not going to see this in rural Texas.
Yeah, middle of nowhere, New Hampshire won't be getting these anytime soon.
So, Nuri, you fly a lot.
I do.
Are you going to be using air dates anytime soon?
I was just going to say, remember like a year ago when we talked about that weird, creepy car date app that was out?
Which one was that?
So that was the one that would, based on Bluetooth proximity in your connected cars, would let you make a connection with a driver in a car near you.
I'd rather tell him to kiss my ass. I don't want to talk to him.
Oh, yeah. So that was our whole thing. No, we're not using it to flirt. We're using it to tell people
you
to
drive
F
like
off.
shit. I hate you.
Get the F out of my way.
What are these guys who came in our show last year who had an app where it allow you to do that in public, like at grocery stores and things like that?
They came to Penguicon and we killed their app.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't. I just kind of like the old school way of like getting really drunk and awkwardly hitting on the person next to me in my airplane. But,
whatever happened.
But now there's air dates.
Air dates.
So what is it like? Okay, so did you sneak around through this? What is it?
Oh, so it's basically a proximity-based dating thing.
Proximity. You're on a plane, for crying out loud.
Well, it's a really tight proximity. It's not like you're in here and there's someone in that studio and someone in that studio and someone maybe in the rub and tug.
But are you gambling though that they bought the in-flight Wi-Fi? Go?
I think they said that it actually would work on peer-to-peer Wi-Fi, which all phones are capable of.
Nobody's logging into peer-to-peer Wi-Fi on planes.
But you can detect the Bluetooth that there's somebody nearby. You don't even have to connect. You can see that they're there.
But you have it in airplane mode, and all that crap's turned off.
But if you're the kind of person that's using this app, you're not going to have it locked down. You're going to have it open because you're looking to make that kind of a connection.
And so the one other weird dude in first class,
right?
Yeah, exactly. He's the only person you're going to find. I don't think people are going to adopt that. That's just too weird.
See, it's funny when
everyone's trying to redo dating apps, like so many of them, that it seems like is this gotten to the point where there's nothing more to add to it, right?
Because when they found out Farmers Only makes money, then everyone collectively said, God damn it, I'm writing an app.
Well, what's interesting, like some airlines, I think KLM does, when you log into KLM, you can connect it to Facebook, and it will show you who else has done the same thing. So it's like, oh, I'm sitting next to this person, that's cool, and then you go creepily stalk their profile.
See, did you ever
hit on them later?
Did you ever? So last time I was in Germany, they had all the behind the seat, like all the different on demand and all the games and everything, and we all end up like being friends with everyone, telling everyone to play trivia at the same time. You
can talk
and
to
then,
people.
Yeah,
right?
and you could. Well, it showed you what seats were answering. So like if someone got it right, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I hate you," and like they'd laugh.
18B and kiss my ass.
Yeah, no, but it became like this social thing where like we talk to people we wouldn't normally talk to.
Dude, on a plane, I just want to put on my noise canceling headphones and just not talk to anybody.
So I don't know. For some reason, that flight was there's a lot of servicemen, and like our whole row was all Army guys. So we're like, "Hey, what movie you guys want to watch?" We're like, "I don't know, let's watch 300," and we would all watch the same movie on the back of the screen like at the same time, and then we'd all talk about it after. No, it was this weird. Like I've never had a flight. Most of the time, it's I put on my headphones and zot out, but I'm not picking up the girls don't want to get talked to on a plane. They don't want to get talked to anywhere because there's idiots going.
Yeah, you think it's creepy when a guy walks up to you in a bar.
Yeah. Hey, 18D, sup?
Yeah, exactly.
The
You have no
interesting
out.
thing about this, though, it said that only women could initiate first contact, which basically ensures their app will never get used on an airplane.
Ever.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
And you're done.
And you're done.
So, hey, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with Mark Larson, proprietor of Falling Down Beer Company. This is the IT and the D Show, and we will be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit, one beer at a time.
Hey, this is John Snyder from Nip Tuck Smallville, the haves and the have-nots. Oh, Dr. Quinn, Hot in Cleveland, Secret Lives of the American Teenager, and just about everything you can possibly imagine. And oh yeah, the Dukes of Hazzard. You're listening to Bob and Dave. It's the IT in the D Show.
ITintheD.com. This is a previously recorded episode of the IT in the D Show.
Welcome back. This is segment 2, episode 174 of the IT and the D Show. Sitting here in Podcast Detroit, beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. This is Bob the
So we have
sales
to
guy.
specify that now because we do have the Penobscot building.
We did. And we're not there now, though. We're in Royal Oak now. So
Yes.
we're in Royal Oak. But we can be in Detroit if we wanted to be, but we're not.
You can see Russia from here.
We
could see Canada from there.
And there's a witch down-stairs in the Penobscot.
There is.
So
That's-
good.
That's the
I
only
know.
reason why Bob wants to go there ever.
So good.
Hey, Bob, we're going to go down and set stuff up. Oh, all right, man. I'll be there. It's like the only
So
time
what
he's
do you
ever
get?
been early for anything.
When you get there,
everything.
all the things,
Yeah.
all the things at Witch.
I think we've made it through. I know I've made it through 3. You must have made it through more than that.
When you go to a sub place, do you say okay? Do you look at the menu? This is Bob the sales guy hanging out with Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG. Find us online, ITintheD.com.
All the things. So, hey, this segment is sponsored by Indeed Prime. Indeed Prime is a premium talent platform that matches elite tech talent to top companies. Indeed Prime helps software engineers simplify their job search and land their dream job. Candidates get immediate exposure to the best tech companies with just one simple application. And when you're hired, Indeed Prime gives you a $2,000 bonus to say thanks for using Prime. But if you use our link, and this is awfully damn cool, you get a $5,000 bonus instead. So, just for using our link instead of just going to Indeed, you go to Indeed.com/IT, you get an extra $3,000 if you get a job. Not a terrible thing.
Don't say we never gave you anything.
Yeah, exactly. So sign up now at Indeed.com/IT. Indeed Prime is 100% free for candidates. Helps hiring managers discover available high-quality talent. Again, learn more at Indeed.com/IT.
If you get a job at Indeed and get $5,000, you're buying.
Via Indeed.
You're buying.
Oh, you're buying all
Yeah.
the things.
Right.
We expect a nice big fat check at our charity event.
Yes.
We expect the bar tab to go to you.
Yes.
Yes. All the things all the time. Just be warned, and we'll know. We'll find out.
So we are.
Don't think we won't.
So hey, we are joined by one of our original friends of the program. I think you were on episode 3-ish or something. 4. Mark Larson is in the house from Falling Down Beer Company. How the heck are you?
Awesome. How are you?
Good. So if anyone doesn't know the story or the history, and we always say you're living our lives and we hate you for it.
He's living our dream.
Yeah. Is you were an old IT guy. Actually, we used to work together back in like 99. You were the engineer that hated the sales guy. I was the sales guy that begged the engineers to talk to me.
Used to lock the door on you.
They did. They'd lock the door so we couldn't get in the engineering room. They hated us so bad. But you went and kind of went off and said, I'm going to brew beer. Like this is even before like the craft thing even kicked. So you were like pretty much like a week before the whole movement started, and started Falling Down Beer Company.
Yeah, it was an interesting time. Working from home, I got to be able to experiment with my home brews while I was on the computer working for IT.
It's the beauty of Citrix, right? Work from anywhere.
That's right. It's all virtual.
Exactly. But, dump in a bag of mash and then log into Citrix. Dump in a bag,
Exactly. Kick off that job, check the yeast concentrate. Yeah. But no, so I mean, it's, so Falling Down is over at 10 and DeQuinder in Warren. We've always loved the place. In fact, I think we had an event there literally the day you got your occupancy license.
Yes.
That was 2 years ago, 3 years ago now. Oh, yeah, because you
four.
Yeah,
Over 4. We're going to be March will be 5 years.
That's right. Oh God, crazy. Yeah, and then there's more. Like, so, I mean, we're always sending people over there. We always tell people, grab a growler, do whatever. And I just wound up giving away a couple growlers this weekend. And the Reuben egg rolls that will change your life. That's if you don't believe us, just try them. But now you guys are expanding, which is awesome to hear. You're opening up another facility in Oxford.
Yeah, we're exploding right now. So we're hoping Oxford to be open to the public sometime around February or March. We're literally just waiting on paperwork from the state and the federal government now.
Gotta love those.
Yeah, but we're basically sold out. Everything we produce currently is already sold. So we actually run short on beer at the brewery, and we're just trying to stay above the waterline,
Yeah, and that's, because I stop by every now and then to swap out the kegs or just to hop in and grab some Reuben egg rolls, that kind of stuff. And number one, I love the improvements you guys have made to the place. The digital board is nice, just to make it nice and clean and easy to keep track of stuff and what's there. It's kind of got that. I don't know if you've I haven't been there in a couple of weeks. I don't know if the ceiling's back in yet, but it's kind of got that open feel to it now.
Yeah, ceiling's not going back in, but you can see that we strung lights up to give it kind of an outdoor beer garden feel on the inside.
Very cool. But yes, I mean, it's always been a fun hang of a place. Yeah. So I mean, is Oxford going to have the same kind of feel, or?
So Oxford's going to be completely like rustic farmer feeling.
Okay.
So it's going to be a lot of wood, a lot of old fashioned stuff. We're going to have we're working with the Oakland County Museum. We're going to have pictures of downtown Oxford from the old days when there was a trolley that went through Oxford down to Pontiac.
Oh, wow.
On the walls and stuff like that. We're having a custom-built bar, 100% wood. It's going to be wood floors. It's going to be pretty elegant. We're going to mason jar lights and stuff like that.
Are the beers available at Oxford going to be any different than your beers at your flagship store? Or?
Yeah, so you'll be able to get both at either. We'll have specialty beers that are only available at one location versus the other, but our primary production will be moving to Oxford. So they give you kind of a depth of scale. So in Warren, we can brew about 400 barrels of beer, a barrel being 31 gallons.
And that's how often? Is that every month, or?
We brew once a week.
Well, once a week. Wow.
We brew 310 gallons once a week. Give you an idea. Oxford is quadruple that.
Wow.
So Oxford's going to be right around 1,600 barrels the first year.
You guys are blowing up. I mean, I've seen you last summer at the Ipsy Beer Festival. So you guys are out everywhere. I see your stuff everywhere. I'm so happy that you guys are doing so well. And I guess it was time to, expand from a public perspective and also from a facility.
That was one of the guys that was here this weekend, Saturday on Shot of History. I was in here with them, and I had like 8 growlers left from the last that were, we had cleaned them out and everything from the last thing we did over at Activate for the podcaster meetup. And I keep meaning to give them to people, and I keep forgetting. And I was yakking with those guys, and the guy's like, "Oh my God!" He's like, "I've seen them at this beer festival and this beer festival, and I've never gotten there." And I'm like, "Okay, well here's a growler. Go get it filled."
Exactly. And so we're actually been able to hire our own salesperson now, so we don't have to rely on distributors.
Really?
So yeah, we're making a push right now to go statewide in Michigan, and then we've also got distributors lined up for Ohio, Indiana, and Florida. So we're going to go multi-state here this year.
It's an interesting mix. Ohio, Indiana, Florida. Like
a Florida man had some falling down beer today. And
so it's interesting. We actually have a really high demand in Florida, and it's from Michigan transplants.
Snowbirds, right.
Yeah. And actually, I got a tweet yesterday from a beer blog in Florida who was going through our names and said these are the coolest names on the planet, and started putting them on his Florida beer blog.
Cool.
Mark's still thankful that we haven't named any of his beers.
Well, it kept him from getting sued by Lucasfilm.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You say that's really interesting. Like where I grew up was in a tiny little town in rural Florida, and they opened up a hipster beer place, which is just completely out of character for everything Florida. And they had Zombie Killer from, and I'm like, what is going on?
How did this happen? Yeah.
And I wondered about that. Now I understand it's the Michigan-Florida connection that people come down from Michigan and want their
Tony
beers and
Dog
their
places
favorites.
all over the place down there. Jet's
Hockey
Pizza.
teams.
Yeah,
Hungry
hockey.
Howie's, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Bells and Founders is blowing up down there.
So, what are some of the things that what's something that you've learned in this time that maybe would help other folks through this process?
He's not going to tell them.
Yeah, no kidding.
You mean like other startup breweries?
Or it's just startups in general, like the general thing, because there's so many people who want to do something local. Whether it's like a candle shop or a whatever it is made local. Local is a really big thing. What is it that has helped you kind of, what do you think has helped set you apart where you've been able to find like a lot of success?
Well, first and foremost, and I think the beer industry is a little different from other industries, is getting to know the other breweries and becoming friends with all the other breweries.
Your Facebook post, it's kind of interesting. Like if you're not checking in at a festival, you're probably checking in at another brewery.
Yes, and I'm meeting the brewers and I'm meeting the owners, and we all hang out. And there's actually a group of brewers that are just Southeast Michigan. We get together once a month and just go to a brewery all together.
See, and we keep trying to do that in the podcast industry, and people keep telling us to F off.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's very industry specific, and I bring it up because when we started over 4 years ago, the Coonan brothers, who's our nearest big competitor, came in and helped us set our system up.
That's crazy.
That's huge,
right? They're like, we want the whole industry to be successful.
See, it's not. Why don't people believe it when we say it?
I don't. Yeah.
Right now,
because they're not drunk when we say. That's the whole key to this beer. Good.
And I bring it up because, so we were the 128th brewery in Michigan. Now Michigan's over 300.
I remember that. It's like between episode 4 and 69. I remember that conversation where like we got into those licensing conversations where, I mean, even then, like you were 128 and there were over like we're closing in on 200 in that pretty short period of time. And it was like, wow.
There's like something like 40 opening in 2016, another 40 scheduled for 2017.
When does it hit critical mass?
Well, exactly. And my point was being these are all home brewers. Which I was a home brewer.
Yeah.
But they're all like, okay, we can make beer and compete with all these people, and they're finding money or whatever, and they're just opening a little shop. They won't talk to anybody. They don't want your advice. They don't want you to help you. You go over there and go, hey, I heard you're coming to town, What's up? What are you doing? Oh, you're my competitor. I don't want to talk to you. And it's a weird dynamic right now.
Now see, that's what we get.
Yeah. The only guy in the media world you get is me.
It's all these new breweries in it's just been the last year or so.
Interesting.
This big wave of breweries.
Well, it is. I mean, that's my question with the whole industry. I mean, it's got to hit critical mass at some point. I mean, like I think there's room for a lot of places to have, instead of maybe like a neighborhood bar, a neighborhood brew pub. Great, and that's fine, but it's hitting such a level of saturation on the market where it's, everything's a craft brew. And oh, by the way, now you've got macro breweries that have bought microbreweries. And can you really, do you really know that label is a microbrew? And
But I also think there's been an overall shift in consumption. Last year was the first year that people spent more money on food and drink going out than for groceries. And so there's a whole shift going on in consumption with how people are spending their money. We've got a story running later this week about grocerants, where this trend of like grocery stores and restaurants kind of put together.
I hate that word, by the way.
It's awful. A grocerant. But it's
that word needs to die.
That's the official industry term. I'm using the industry term. I didn't come up with it. But it's this whole trend. It's moving towards people are consuming things in a different way, and beer's one of those things.
Well, and that makes sense. I mean, one of the things we always said, that set you apart from places like Dragon Meat, although, I mean, they've tweaked it since then, but, that you guys weren't just a brew pub, you had phenomenal food. and still do. I mean, and that's one of those things that set Falling. I think that's one of the things that set Falling Down apart was it wasn't just go in, as Bob likes to say, have 3 beers and not be able to burp.
I can't with craft beer; it drives me nuts.
But it's also the food and everything else that goes along with it.
Yeah, and I think it's situational. So in Warren, we're coming into a very highly competitive environment. None of the breweries around us had food. So we saw food as our advantage. That was, okay, we want everybody to go to all the breweries, but wind up at our place and have a burger.
Yep.
Oxford's a different story. So downtown Oxford's got 14 restaurants. And if you don't know Oxford, it's one block.
Yeah.
There's only one cross street. There's 2 blocks.
I don't even know where Oxford is.
And there's like 14 restaurants.
It's up past Pine Knob.
Oh, it's past Orion.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Orion, sorry.
Orion.
Yeah.
Well, it's just by the
Hashtag
Little
not
Dipper.
Michigan, right? Yes,
It's over by the Little Dipper.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Wow.
So there we're not starting with food. We've partnered up with restaurants on the same side of the street as us, and they're going to deliver food in.
Oh,
smart.
Awesome.
So our little quadrant is all going to be about food and beer together.
Very cool.
And we're all connected with the public parking lot behind us and everything. It's really a cool situation.
Very nice. But you're not just sticking with beer there, from what I gather.
Correct. We pulled a brewery license, a winery license, and a distiller license.
Woohoo! Yeah. Ooh.
So when we open in February, we're going to open with beer, cider, and wine, and then we're hoping by the middle to the end of 2017, we're going to open a distillery in there.
Still waiting for our meat stick beer, Dave.
Oh, I forgot about that.
We've been only talking about that since he started.
For like 4 years.
Right.
I can finally do it.
Although
yes,
I did try the what was it, the new beer that's got habanero in it. It was
the Blazing Beaver.
Yes, yeah, it was Nice Beaver, Angry Beaver, Blazing Beaver. Phenomenal, because I loved the smoked wheat, the cracked pepper one. Wheat, cool whip.
Wheaten.
Yeah, exactly. But this one had even more of a kick to it. It was really, really cool.
Yeah, it actually had Carolina Reapers and ghost pepper in it.
Oh, so good. I love that kind of stuff you guys do. So I guess which begs the question, so what's going to be on tap for people to look forward to on Thursday night?
I have a few surprises.
We're going to get our meat stick beer today.
Dun, dun, dun.
Have you had the 7 Goat Army yet?
Yes.
Well, no, we've had the 5 here. I don't know if we had the 7 here.
There's more goats?
Yes.
There's more goats.
Oh.
It's even more greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I thought I had it at the bar one day, but
It's like new and improved
If
Tide.
it was when I saw you there, that was the 5 goat.
okay, cool. So I've had only 5 goats.
The 5 Goat Army is our West Coast IPA with 5 different hops in it. The 7 Goat Army is an Imperial IPA with 7 different hops in it.
Oof.
See, that makes sense. It's not like Tide now with more soap. How do you put more soap into soap? Hops, I understand.
Put more kinds of soap in the soap.
Right.
So it's a 10% beer, but it tastes like, I don't know, citrus and pine and deliciousness.
Reminds me, we got to set up that code with Uber.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not driving Thursday.
Got to do that before Thursday.
Not driving Thursday. But hey, speaking of that, we said mark your calendars, but December 8th, we're going to be there from 5 o'clock until question mark. Teeing up our next guest, we're going to be helping out Operation Kid Equip. And so it's all got charity behind it. It's our annual, we call it a toy drive, but we're helping out families that are displaced and homeless. So even though we're going to be getting drunk out of our minds, we're going to be trying to help out families less fortunate. So beer for...
every now and then we try to do something good.
Yeah, exactly.
Karmic burn-off.
Right. But Mark... and one of the things, Jared, we talked about, what did Mark do different? I'll answer that for you because from an outsider's perspective, Mark did an awesome job of just worrying about the beer. Like you got shit in the beginning because it was like an old family diner and it still had the booths up and it's like, it looks like a ram's horn. I don't care. I'm making beer.
It wasn't my mother's place?
Yeah.
Your mother's place? Yeah.
What about don't we talking about
your
my
mama's place? Yeah.
But he not only that built the community and those 2 things that set him up over and above. And what I saw is practically borderline genius. Like just instead of just opening up and trying to tweak it and make it perfect and this like weird, it just.
Oh, what was that? What was that one review we read on Meatball Or just wait until you've got the $50,000 you need to go ahead and refinish the interior. We're like, yeah, you find $50,000 and refinish.
That's what makes that's what makes the beer taste better is the ambiance and the lighting in the corridors. Kiss my ass. Mark, where do we find you online? Forgot his URL.
Yeah, fallingdownbeer.com.
Yeah.
Twitter is /fallingdownbeer, Facebook /fallingdownbeer, Instagram /fallingdownbeer. Yeah, it's pretty consistent.
One of the best logos in the business and a phenomenal beer, if you don't mind me saying. Mark Larson, appreciate the time, and we look forward to hanging out with you on Thursday night. We're going to be back with Michael from Operation Kid Equip talking about the charity we'll be supporting.
Yep.
This is the IT and the D show, and we'll be right back.
IT and the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hi, I'm Brittany Daniel from The Game, and you're listening to IT and the D Show.
ITintheD.com.
This is a previously recorded episode of the IT and the D Show.
Welcome back, segment 3, episode 174. This is the IT and the D Show, and if you haven't figured it out by now, we're broadcasting here in Podcast Detroit. Beautiful Royal Oak, Michigan. Is Bob the sales guy. Captain Soundboard, Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG with his dapper hat on and his bow tie. Did you tie that yourself or is that a clip-on?
No, I tied it myself.
Wow.
There's a guy on YouTube that taught me how to tie a bow tie.
That's the thing. No one can learn anything anymore. Just go on YouTube. Every time now, kid says, Dad, how do just go on YouTube?
How do I do electricity? How do I do plumbing?
YouTube.
Is it a politician who teaches that tutorial?
No.
Carson Tucker or whatever?
He doesn't wear them anymore. Apparently.
Oh, he doesn't? Okay.
No.
It's actually a guy from the 1920s with a YouTube channel.
You put it on anything, see? But hey, we had a fun chat with Mark Larson from Falling Down, and we're talking about the charity event. And what a nice time. The guests actually make sense this week, Dave, for once in our lives.
We actually kept a theme.
Right. There's usually no theme. It's like roller derby girls, and hey, there's a rocket scientist that wrote code. But hey, we're joined by Michael from Operation Kid Equip, and thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
So we've known you for a couple years now.
More than a couple.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I think is interesting, and in fact we were just yakking about this outside, we usually, I always wind up having the conversation, okay, well, what does this have to do with, the holiday season and all that kind of stuff? And I said, okay, well, here's the, Operation Kid Equip. I said, I'm sure you're familiar with, the backpack drives and everything that everybody else does, for school supplies and that kind of stuff in the summer. Like, oh, yeah. Totally. I'm like, yeah. Well, I said, well, go figure. Those same kids are in those same situations come holiday time. And so it's not necessarily the most festive of occasions then.
Right.
So, yeah, we try to help. And so, and then now you've got another component that you're adding on. So talk to me a little bit about the evolution of Operation Kid Equip and what you guys have done and are doing and are looking to do.
Well, when Operation Kid Equip started, we started with providing school supplies for kids who didn't have them. And this was more than a decade ago. I feel like we've created a lot of awareness in our community about the school supply issues. And so
it's craziness.
Well, now everybody and their mother's doing a drive. And it's there's competition for stuff-a-buses, and there's competition even for who's going to take backpacks to a school to kids.
Yeah.
And so we said, okay, we've done our job. We're still involved in school supplies, but on a smaller scale. But we said, how can we get to these kids and to these families to serve them more?
Right.
If they can't afford a 25-cent notebook at back-to-school time.
Well, that's a symptom, not a cause.
Right, but what else is going on inside the house? And so over time, we started doing holiday stuff for kids, which is it's our feel good kind of a thing.
Yeah.
It's not our primary mission. But now we've started an intensive wraparound outreach in South Warren. We define South Warren as basically between 8 Mile to 9.5, and then from DeQuinder all the way over to Hayes.
Okay.
So we serve that entire area. And what we're doing now is we are DHHS navigation partners. So we're helping people get their DHHS benefits,
which is
situated. Department of Health and Human Services.
Okay.
It used to be DHS, but the Department of Homeland Security has taken that acronym. So I have to get used to saying DHHS.
It's like the damn World Wildlife people that took the wrestling WWE thing away from him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Most people still call the welfare office. And so we're doing that kind of outreach. One of the things that we find, especially in South Warren right now, is we have a very high people living in extreme poverty. We have a very high child abuse and neglect rate. We have pretty high adult illiteracy. And so being able to come in and help a family, and I never say to get the benefits that they're entitled to, but to get the benefits that they qualify for. Because I don't, as much as I try to help people with their benefits, I don't buy into the whole entitlement mentality.
Right.
And I'll tell people.
It's just crazy when you see we talk food insecurity. I don't think anybody realizes that's a real thing.
In my area, 1 in 5 kids are food insecure, which means when they go home, there's not a reliable source of food. So this is one of the things we're dealing with. We have one of our better success stories is we had a family that was the dad had a closed head injury, and I'm not too still convinced on his own literacy skills, and he was making $733 a month on his disability, and they had him and 3 more kids, so 4 people in the house. The rent on the house was $700. The man couldn't read the DHS paperwork, DHHS paperwork, to understand what he needed to send back, so he had no food stamps in the house. And so we were able to sit down and work with him, hand-holding, to do what needed to be done. So now we added $600-something in food stamps to the house, which was needed, And then one of his kids had a disability. Well, he needed to do the disability paperwork, so we had to work on that, which was another $700-something a month. So we took this family basically from $733 to something like $2,500 a month in coordinated benefits, which were deserved. It wasn't like they were trying to milk the system. It's just nobody could read the paperwork.
Well, and I guess that's the question is, so how, and maybe this speaks to how much work you have to do in that area, how much of it is lack of interest in adoption versus lack of awareness?
In what way?
Like when it comes to benefits and things like that. I mean, when you find yourself in these situations, I would assume there are some people that just don't want any kind of public assistance because it's a perceived thing. But then there are also probably people that just have no idea that it's out there.
I see everything. I see the pride that I don't want to take it. I have a man who came in this past week. He was on public assistance before, and then he got a job. And for the last 6-7 years, he worked, supported his family, and now this shop closed or he lost his job in some way. And he's waiting to the very last minute to come in and apply. Well, he's coming in. They need food stamps. Their utilities are in danger of getting cut. So we have to do all this work, which is what we do.
In a mad scramble.
But try to get, and it's very much an intensive work, and it's truly crisis outreach. And I always say, if people fit inside a nice box, they wouldn't be our clients.
Right.
So we're always chasing everything that's outside of the box to try to coordinate help for families. One of the biggest things that I have found, and I've been down there as an intensive for just over a year now, which means
I was going to say that's part of this, and it's and we didn't really even touch on this yet. Is one of the reasons why we've felt really good about working with you guys is your organization has the slimmest margin of anything, as far as, what comes in versus what goes out, to the point where you now live down there.
I live in the heart of it all. And it's one thing to study poverty, which I did, and you get an idea of poverty. It's another thing to, okay, I'm going to live out here, but drive down here, work, and go back home. It's a whole different experience when you're living it and you're in the middle of it. because I go into Shoppers Market to get my groceries, and there's people in there who want to talk to me about their cases. Like, you know what? No, my hair's a wreck. I'm buying my whiskey, and leave me alone. It's Sunday morning.
Oh yeah, well, you said you've had people that have come by the house at all hours of the day and night. And I mean, you've seriously dedicated yourself to this.
Yeah, and in the beginning, I regretted it, and it's been a learning curve. But with that immersion, really helped me get it, and really understand. Because I often say that when the street lights come on, South Warren takes on a whole different life of its own. And I'm not talking the crime and the rest, because that happens even in the day. But just it's a whole different experience. Because here your next door neighbors, or people a couple blocks over, you're seeing them at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and they need something. You're right there. So it's been. I've learned more by living there than any textbook can teach me.
I would imagine.
I didn't go in, and I've never gone into a situation where I said, this is what the community needs. I just listened to the needs in the community and responded accordingly.
What a novel concept.
For me, it's novel because I used to be one of those people who was like, well, this is what they need because the textbook said this is what they need. That's not always the case. We have, a lot of people think of the people in South Warren as lazy, and that's not the case.
See, and I'll be honest, like up until we started talking about this kind of stuff, I wasn't even aware there was a South Warren, from a designation standpoint.
I grew up in Warren. There's a 696 is the dividing line.
See, he uses the ditch as a dividing line.
The moat, we called it.
The moat.
The moat. I say 9.5, but you see some pompous people.
Yeah, us 14 milers.
Well, I'll be in conversations and people will say 696 is the new 8 Mile, like on the regular.
Yeah, and that's true. I had a donor who lived at 11 Mile in Hoover, which is Warren.
It's right by the Ritz, yeah.
Wanted to bring a donation and said, where are you located? We said, well, we're about 8.5 in Van Dyke. He says, I don't go into that area. Can you come and get the check from me?
Way to be committed.
2 miles away. Yeah, 2 miles away.
Good. I'll meet you at the Ritz.
That's right. So, but this is true. And there has been people, and I'm not going to call them out, but certain city officials who have been known on record to say that South Warren is dead, and have asked me how I feel working in a morgue.
Jeez.
That is a dereliction of duty. If you are a city official of a place, and Warren is not a small municipality.
It's the third largest city in the state.
Yeah, it's the third largest city in the state. People forget that all the time. That is a dereliction of duty, and that's disgusting to me. Because to me,
why are you?
Why are you even elected? Why are you doing that job?
Right.
Well, because I'm an elected official for north of 696.
But see, that's the. I could get started. I'll save it for segment 3. I could get 4. Oh boy! Step away from the mic.
L. Brooks versus Duggan. So talk to me about this latest thing you've got going on. This whole 29-day house initiative. Because honestly, that's that. Everything you do with the money that you get in blows my mind because you are incredibly resourceful with stuff. But when you were walking me through what the operational budget is on this, it's mind-boggling. It's crazy you can pull this off. But so, what is this? What's going on?
Well, one of the things that I found is we do not have a lot of shelters in Macomb County. And the shelter beds we do have for homeless people, especially families, are very limited. And if you're a homeless family with multiple kids, trying to find a shelter with that amount of beds has been a challenge. And so oftentimes we have to put them up temporarily into a motel. And, that can cost anywhere from $800 to $900 a month to put somebody in a motel room. And you're putting them inside a Sid's Hideaway bungalow. With
rooms by the hour. We'll leave the sheets on for you.
Well, I have one where they got to bring their own.
Stay classy, Warren.
But So they go into this room where somebody's chain smoked in that room for 50 years, and there's only 2 queen beds, and they can't cook in it, and maybe the small little refrigerator works or not. And that's expensive, and I don't like it, And right now we have, for a variety of reasons, families becoming homeless, domestic violence, people who just screw up on their own.
See, and you don't you don't hear that. I mean, because a lot of what you hear now is, everything's getting better and the economy's turning around and the area is just so fantastic. So, I mean, a lot of these stories get even more lost.
Well, like last week, I got a case where the lady had to escape domestic violence. She had 4 kids, and they literally left the house at like 9, 10 o'clock at night with whatever they had on. 2 of the kids left without shoes, and they had to get the hell out of there, basically. And it was a challenge to try to get them into a place. We've had people who, they've got evicted on their own. They didn't pay their bills for whatever reason. Not necessarily just because of poor spending, just because maybe something happened.
Yep.
And, they had to fix the car. We also have the other challenge where, 3 years ago when the city of Warren did the tax sales, or the county did the tax sales, they packaged those up, and these out-of-town investors bought up all these properties.
But that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was good, but they didn't pay their property taxes for 3 years. And, this past October was the tax sale. So you've had tenants who have faithfully paid their rent every month, and now the house went into tax foreclosure, now they're evicted.
Wow, this has so many echoes.
Yeah.
It's so many echoes. We are so similar in so many ways.
Well, it's interesting that you say that something happens and they get evicted. They say that 56% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck with less than $1,000 in their bank account, and then 24% have less than $100 to their name. Yeah. So it could happen to anybody. And people are quick to blame things like drugs or bad choices, but it's not always that.
I'm not going to bitch about the car place having my car for 3 months anymore.
Hashtag first world problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I don't know if it was Warren or South Warren, but there was something where it's got the 7th largest heroin usage in the nation.
Wow.
But the bulk of the people who I see who are becoming homeless or struggling, they're not users. Do I have users? I have users. In fact, I was telling you, Dave, about one of my ODs on Sunday morning. But it does happen. But it's such a small percentage. Just like the people who try to think that the majority of people on welfare are scammers.
Scamming this is, yeah.
Well, we know that there's about a 3% fraud rate for welfare. And in that same fraud rate is even data entry errors that somebody, even the caseworker, put something in wrong. So when you get down to it, they figure that it's probably just 1%.
But that's what everybody loves to talk about.
Well, because
10 tweets are news these days, Dave.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
on.
But that 1% have some great stories that are newsworthy. But 90% of people who are who receive public assistance or food stamps are children, elderly, disabled, or working people. So they actually have jobs, but not enough to support themselves. It still meet the income limits for food stamps.
So then how is what you're doing translating into solving that housing problem for them?
Well, one of the things we're doing is by helping people get their benefits in order. So instead of having to take money for food like out of their
that $33 that was left after rent,
now that money's able to the food budget's able to go towards other bills. For every $5 in food stamps that we generate, that get people receive, we generate $9 in economic activity. Because see, in our area, we have people who transportation, they walk, they go to Shoppers Market, right?
Right.
And so now they're going to be buying more food at Shoppers Market. Shoppers Market's going to keep somebody employed. Maybe
or have to bring somebody new in,
And now you're buying more food from there, so they're going to have to use a supplier, which is going to help with the over-the-road people to bring food in and warehouses. And I think for every $1 billion in food stamps, 3,300 farm jobs are created. Well, when I did the math, because I'm a numbers guy, just our work in South Warren alone has probably created 4 farm jobs this year.
Okay.
So it shows that even though we're here, we have a greater impact,
right.
on the economy. So that's one positive out of all of this. Where we're at now is going back, we don't have enough shelter beds. And if a family's got to go into a motel, the money that they have in their pocket, now they're paying a motel to stay at.
Right.
So the 29-day house concept is where they come in, they could stay for free for that basically a month, but they could save up a down payment to be able to get another place of their own.
Yeah, or a first month's rent, deposit, that sort of thing. Yep.
And we have landlords we can work with that would be willing to work with the people we serve, and different programs to help within that time. But right now, like this mom who had to leave the house with all the kids, she also left where she only had a small income left of her own because she was leaving the abusing spouse who had the bigger chunk of the money.
Right.
And you could say child support, but that's going to take forever.
Yeah.
That's not going to help her get housed right now. And so she was able to get into that house. It's better than the motel that, chain smoked room.
Right.
And so they're in a more cozy environment with 3 meals a day, which they're not getting at the motel. And it just really helps in the long run. We know that we could do that house for it's about $12,000 a year to get it together, with the other supports that would be coming in. And so, as I was talking to you, I said, people go get grants. And I've never been a fan, I've always told you this, of corporate grants because they're sterile, they don't care, and sometimes you have to jump through hoops you don't want to have to jump through. So we divided by 365, and it came out to $33 a day. And so we said if we could find 365 people to each sponsor a day, we could pull this house off.
Okay, any of you out there listening, we've had more than 1,000 of you at our Majestic events. We've had more than 2,000 of you that have found jobs at our events. Listen carefully. Don't make me start nagging and hunting you down.
Neri just shot me a link to the worst, basically, drug cities in America. And for the worst cities for drug overdoses, Warren, Michigan is 7th in the country.
That's crazy.
Detroit and Flint are down the list a little bit, but Dayton, Ohio, number 1.
Should be 3 in Ohio in the top 3, right?
Yeah, the Cincinnati, Dayton in the top 10, and Toledo in the top 10. Detroit looks like 12th-ish. Flint looks like 15, 20.
That's crazy. So $33 a day is basically what this boils down to.
Yeah.
To make this happen.
And people can pick a date. So if the date's available and you have a significant date you want to do it in memory of, in honor of,
all right,
you could say, okay, here's $33, and can I please have March 5th? And if it's available, you can have it. If not, I'll charge you $66 for it.
Got to have premium dates, yeah.
That's right. And for $99, we'll let you come clean the house.
You can have the holiday weekend.
Yeah, that's right.
No, just to put that in perspective, that's what I'm going to pay to Uber to Mark's place and back on Thursday.
Yeah.
And my God, you can take care of a family, or I can get drunk, or I can do both.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have the luxury of being able to do both.
Exactly. And for $66, we'll give you your own fifth.
No, you will? Oh.
Paid for by Dave.
Yeah.
There it is.
It's like PBS. Give $100 and we'll give you this DVD set of Flash Gordon from the 1930s.
Right. So, and I know for those that can't make it, we've got the link out in the Facebook event and on the blast that went out today. People can donate in advance. We do encourage people to do that. Hell, I mean, even if you are planning on making it, you can do that and then not have to worry about cash donations and that kind of stuff. You are going to be on hand with us Thursday night again, and yeah, I mean, it's the shit matters, people. I mean, there's no other I know this isn't us 101. Like, we don't really tend to get heavy on topics very often, but like, this shit is right in our own backyard, and it's such an easy thing to help. I mean, it's literally, Bob said, it's an Uber ride. It's not even one of our bar tabs on a bar crawl night at one bar. This absolutely is something that we should be able to help kick into high gear and at least get a year rolling on this.
And one of my biggest hopes, and I told you this, and I tend to dream big, but I also have faith, is hopefully we raise enough between now and Thursday to be able to announce the official opening on Thursday.
Yeah.
We do have the support of the local school district. We have, in fact, two or three of the people on the board are actually work somehow in the district because that's where we get a lot of our families from, within the school district. It's just very important. And, and one thing we have to remember is this isn't just a home for homeless people. They're always going to have children. So, it's mainly going to be women and children.
Yeah.
From time to time, men do get custody. And I always wonder, wow, what does she do so wrong?
It's not like the system is really geared that way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, whoa, and sometimes I was like, so the judge had to pick the lesser of the two, didn't he? But the bulk of my people, are good. The people we serve, they're well-meaning, and to be able to help them in any way, it's great.
Awesome. So yeah, we'll see everybody there Thursday night.
So yeah, how do we to the new thing? I know we tried to go to what's the website now for to donate to the.
It's kind of it's a weird URL. I don't even want to try to give it out over the air just because, it's a little kludgy. But, like I said, it's on the Facebook event listing. You can find it on ITintheD.com in the mail blast that we did out. Because, it's ubm.wildapricot.org/page.
We'll put it on the Twitters and the things and the places and the stuff.
So it's out there.
Our technology budget is very weak.
Right. Which I feel like we should be able to do something with and make that easier to get to.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we may do that before the end
we
of the night.
know a couple IT guys, Michael.
You think?
Yeah, exactly. Michael, appreciate spending time with us. Look forward to seeing you on Thursday. And we'll be back with Dr. Hook and Sven from Daily Detroit. This is the IT in the D Show, and we'll be right back.
IT in the D. Read, meet, listen. Networking Detroit. One beer at a time.
Hey guys, it's Time Hawk, Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon. You're listening to the ITintheD Show.
ITintheD.com.
This is a previously recorded episode of the IT in the D Show.
Welcome back to segment 4, episode. We haven't done segment 4 in a while. Episode 174 of the IT in the D Show, broadcasting here in Podcast Detroit. Bob the Sales Guy hanging out with Dave the Geek, Nuri the FNG. Go to ITintheD.com and just go there.
Just do it.
Yeah, do it.
Do it now. Jared, now that we've given you several story ideas tonight, how's everything going?
It's going great. Let me tell you, this podcast is a pillar of the community.
Yeah. I am now having flashbacks to the very first time you and I went to MEDC to Shifting Gears to do our yuck 10 Commandments of Networking shtick, and the speaker that was on right in front of us was told a half-hour long story about his wife who died of cancer.
Wow!
And the long lingering death, and Bob and I in the bathroom going, come on!
Well, as soon as we go to break, I'm like, all right, kids, who wants to buy a Tesla? Like, oh, God.
Yeah, totally. But you know what? These are things that are really important to talk about. This is a facet of the region that I think personally is swept under the rug. I think there's a lot of people who think, oh, Detroit, over there. Well, over there, those people.
Well,
when
not
in
only
fact,
that,
it's our people.
Well, not only
as a
that,
region.
But like I said, a lot of the stories you hear are the economy's getting better, everything's great, house prices are going up, everything's all shiny, happy, hunky dory, fluffy clouds. Not so much.
Yeah, well, and Macomb County has certainly been in the news a lot lately too. I mean, with the election and swinging the vote for Donald Trump. I mean, there was a story the other day that there was a pollster who said Macomb was one of 5 counties in the United States. The other 4 were in Florida that basically turn the election in Donald Trump's favor. So there's been a lot of stories about Macomb County, but not like this. I mean,
yeah, stories, but not true stories. I think the only group that has really gotten a pulse on it was that Humans of New York that just came, Brandon Stanton who just came through. I mean, he did a great job really showing these stories on the ground in a way that's what people want to hear. That's what people need to hear, is for us to give the mic to other folks so that they can actually share their experiences and what's happening, because it's not one story. It's just like people like to say there's two Detroits. There's so many narratives in Detroit City. There's so many narratives in the Detroit region.
Macomb County goes all the way from 8 Mile to Armada.
Yeah. It's gigantic.
It's not we're not talking about like 3 square miles. This is, the disparity of just human beings is the whole entire probably dichotomy of humanity.
That should be their logo for the Chamber of Commerce, the disparity of human beings.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I haven't fact checked this, but I got to think there's some countries in Europe that are smaller in land area.
Luxembourg, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't even know that Rhode Island's that big.
Vermont,
Connecticut.
There's only 600,000 people in Vermont, for crying out loud.
But we talk about the economy getting better, and okay, that's true. I get it, whatever. But for the people, especially in South Warren, it's going to take them a lot longer to see that recovery. So while everybody else is doing better, it's going to take longer, and I see that now. And we have 4 libraries and not one adult literacy program.
Wow.
And so if you want to go for adult literacy, you either have to go basically out to Hall Road to Macomb, right? I forgot the name of the program.
If only there was a regional transit system that could enable that.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
We're only going to vote against their own interests here.
So right, but
because the people in Macomb, but
get this, I got to tell you, this is what I find hilarious. Or they can go down at the Detroit, and I can't think of the name of the program there.
Focus Hope, probably.
No, but I think it's Dominican, but I'm not sure. People in Southmore, they're like, no, we're not going in that neighborhood.
Nice, yeah.
But there's nothing there. And if I have that high of a illiteracy rate or a low to no reading rate, I worked with a woman today who came in for assistance, and I was like, what was your highest grade completed? She said 8th grade.
Well, in this world, in this world of technology, that's just not going to cut it. It's changed. Bottom line. Things have changed. What you need for a well-paying job has changed.
Well, and we have this conversation about Detroit all the time. Just in our chats and all that kind of stuff about all right, yay, so they're going to build the new Wings Arena and they're going to hire 50%. Are all going to be Detroit residents. Okay, that all sounds great, but
then I chime in.
Well, then they figure out that they don't have enough people that have the skills in the city of Detroit to actually fill that number that they said they'd fill.
That's ridiculous. I always say it's ridiculous. It's like that new GK on automotive plants going in Auburn Hills. I hope 50% of the people that build a plant are of Auburn Hills residents. Detroit's one of the weirdest cities in the country. I never hear these conversations in my whole entire U.S. travels, except for the ones here. And it's so goofy. These goofy walls we put up and build and talk, these crappy talking points, makes no sense to me.
Well, across the board, right? Like the goofy walls we put up and the provincialism has been shooting us down over and over again. The story we ran over the weekend, Google did a great project that basically showed 32 years of history from satellite views of the world, right?
Like a time lapse.
Yeah, it's like it's Google time lapse. Thank you. And what was fascinating was how much got built up around our entire region, but we lost population. So almost every other region in the country.
Now, we being Detroit?
Metro Detroit.
Okay.
The Metro Detroit region as a whole lost population over the last 30 years, and yet we sprawled out mile after mile after mile, cannibalizing our own neighborhoods, cannibalizing our services, and just spreading it out more and more where, it just doesn't make any sense. And we wonder why, there's these huge gaps where people don't have literacy services, or these huge gaps.
They did that in you look at the Midwest. They did it in
Chicago.
No, in Indianapolis, everyone went out to Carmel. In Chicago, everyone went out to Schaumburg.
The difference being is they actually increased in population. The
Sure.
difference being is they almost doubled, most of the places almost doubled population. Look at Chicagoland, the Chicagoland area, but Metro Detroit stayed the same. So they sprawl because they grew people.
They can have their own traffic though, because that sucks ass.
Yeah, because 75 getting in and out of the city is just a dream. It's
No,
just
go to
like-
Chicago.
No, true. Yeah,
You go on Sunday
that's
at
a special
noon,
kind of
and there's I wouldn't wish that on anybody.
But I mean, that's the thing, though, is that we think we're special in so many ways, but we're special in ways that we don't realize. That in some ways our policies have been shooting ourselves in the foot, and what we need to do is start changing our view of things and looking at it as like, how can we work together to push things forward? More so than the cross-border fights that still happen to this day.
Jerry, you guys are fighting in-border. If somebody moves in and someone's been there for a year, no, you're not Detroit enough. You're moving in. You're ruining my neighborhood. The infighting in Detroit, it's so. If someone moved in down the street from me, I'd buy him a beer and say, "Welcome to the hood. Where are you from?"
I think
like in Detroit, like suburbians moving in.
Is
Well, in South
distorted.
Warren, we get your heroin.
Oh yeah, exactly. Hey,
Here's your needle.
like
I think that conversation, though, is distorted by a few voices because my
they're
experience,
loud though.
They're loud, but you know what? My experience living in the city, and you lived in the city
Yeah,
for a
lived in the
while
city.
as well, it was welcoming as hell.
Yeah.
And nobody did that in real life.
I was going to say,
Your
Nuri,
people do that?
Nuri just moved in.
I know he's our first-hand
I've
expert
had
here.
The best experience ever. My neighbor Mark.
You're in a Never mind. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're out in the university
I'm
district.
in the university district, right? So my neighbor Mark comes over. He's like, Nuri, I just want to tell you that I have never had a neighbor as good as you. You and your crew, referencing my roommates and friends, are truly good people. And it's because I look out for them. They look out for me. Like the other night, it was 2 a.m. I had my window cracked, and I heard something. I heard the chain link fence. And I look out. I'm like, what the hell's going on outside?
Well, those loud.
And Mark is like, it's just me, Nuri. I'm like, oh, just keep an eye on your place. And we were talking yesterday about how Detroit's changing. He was telling me about he went to a hot yoga studio, and he says how he and his wife are so happy
They both farted.
at the things that are going on in Detroit. And I was like, this is so different than what I expected.
The reality is the loud voices are often connected to political forces that were part of the previous Kwame regime. That is the reality. The reality in Detroit is, yes, there are real issues of gentrification and all those things. But when you talk about this anger, this kind of like frivolous anger, when we're not really dealing with the core issues, that's something where people, I mean, the demographics of Detroit have changed so much. You had nearly somewhere between 40 and 50,000 African American people leave the city in the last 10, 15 years, and then you had about 10,000 white folks move in. So although, only about 10,000, there's been so much shift in the situation because you had one population drop off, move to Southfield, move to different suburbs, things like that. And then so it's distorted. The change is distorted visually in what's been happening in Detroit.
And, well, there's always people out there counting. So, yeah.
That's true.
Counting on what?
People. Well, and that actually fits in with another conversation we always have, Jer, which is that changing face of media. This is one of those things, whether it's, us, what we're doing here, you, what you're doing with dailydetroit.com. It's weird watching news evolve. And I think
very fast real time.
It's evolving rapidly.
Or devolving, really. I mean, it's because the fabric of the news media. I mean, we were talking before. Say what you want to say about the news media. A lot of people it's people's favorite pastime, right? Is to bitch about the news media, but it's important, and I think we're finding out, and we're going to find out increasingly because it's disintegrating, as we...
Because they went after clickety clicks and they lost their trust.
Well, yeah.
But they followed give the people what they want.
Sure.
That's
sure.
Right. That's
Anchorman 2, man.
They're selling page clicks.
Yeah.
And that's what people are clicking on is stories that in the long run don't really matter. And now you've got like fake news as like this weird competitor and
in-depth expose of a political insidery. Nothing. Poop water, all the clicks.
Oh my God! Yeah. No, I sent a link today, and Nuri's like, "No, it's satire." And I go, "I remember when satire was just the Onion. Like, I can't I don't know what's what now." It's like Merriam-Webster classifies the word of the year as F17UCK, and I go, "I don't." Last year it was like whatever the stupid word YOLO.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it. I see it on Reddit. I figure it's a word, and he's like, "No, it's satire." I don't know.
That's why personal relationships, I think, are more and more important. I think it's important to be out there and visible and talking to folks and doing things, doing things like what we did over at the Daily Detroit Happy Hour last month, where we've packed Queens with more than 60 people, just getting, admittedly, totally ripping off part of your model. But
we're good with that.
But the idea being is that you meet people and that you can build trust and you get to know you get to learn what you're good at and what you're not good at. And I mean, I think Sven, you give a lot of perspective because you have quite the bona fides over the years of working in the field as the journalist with a J.
It's true. I mean, and I'm a refugee of the business. I mean, I always remember a conversation I had with a mentor when I was losing one of my jobs. He said, "Well, you have two options here. You could basically get another journalism job, which would be like jumping from one melting iceberg to another, or you could go do something else that's more stable." And that's the route I took.
And I mean, part of the point of Daily Detroit is to somehow find something that actually works and start to rebuild it. I mean, because it's not going to look like it did. It's not.
It can't.
It can't.
Well, it's failing. Like Detroit, we were talking about that before. It's failing. We can't do the same thing that we did before.
Well, yeah, you've got buyouts, happening at, I
both
think
major
it's
papers.
Freep and Debt News.
Well, someone just said the other day, hey, it used to be the news on the front page, editorials on the back. Now it's editorials on the front page.
Yeah.
It's
because clickety clicks.
Yeah, the news clickety clicks. And then, by the way, we messed up retraction on
page
Monday
87,
on page
column 4. Yeah.
Well, one of the big changes is that so much of the traffic is driven through Facebook, and Facebook shares by affinity. So if you have a serious story that doesn't have a lot of emotional reaction, or if it does and you might feel weird about sharing it amongst your friends, it's not going to gain a lot of traction. But
that's why they put poop water in headlines.
Exactly, because it's that affinity, it's that social emotion that and Facebook's not designed.
Well, it's like
for
Starbucks cup. Starbucks cup. Last year it was one guy. This year it was 10 tweets. And you'd think, though, by the way it got shared, that it was millions and millions of people are boycotting Starbucks, when in fact it was 10 tweets, which became a BuzzFeed viral. Yeah. It's laughable how this stuff picks up steam and runs.
Well, on the Facebook thing, I'm
the CNN porn story.
Yeah, totally.
One tweet.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. I know this is IT and the D, but I still subscribe to a Sunday newspaper. I get it. I know, crazy. I'm so
You're the one.
The one. But the amazing thing to me is the experience, the readership experience, is completely different from digital. When I sit down, I don't always have a lot of time to do it, granted, but when I sit down to read the paper, I can lose myself for a couple of hours easily. Whereas online, you never do that. You read one story off of Facebook or wherever you
headline, first 3 words,
there,
done.
You read it, you're done. You click
People
away.
don't do
No,
more
you
than
read the
300
comments
words.
more than you
They
read the
just
article. Yeah, you get into the comments more than you read the article.
I don't, but some people do for sure. Yeah, occasionally if if they're not horrible and toxic, I will.
They're all horrible and toxic. That's why we wanted to see them.
Occasionally you find good ones.
Yeah, and we
never.
nixed our comment section because of the horrible and toxicness. Yeah. But
now you just get them via email.
Yeah, I just get slews of angry emails now. But we ran a story, a feature story around a Detroit charter school. It's like a 2,000 word piece over, because we try to run one Sunday feature every week.
Yep.
But, you look at the data, and even if you give a beautifully written piece, you look at the data and you can see 300-400 words. If they're on a phone, they start to drift off. Because it's just not this. And the other thing I think that's changed is that the newspapers used to be the platform. Now, Facebook is NBC, Snapchat is ABC, Instagram is CBS. Those are your networks, and you're producing content for the almighty algorithm that's deciding these things. Whereas in the old days, that paper that you read is a bundle. It's a bundled experience where you get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Now Facebook is that bundle, and same with all that other stuff. So in order to create a successful model for the future, you have to accept that the future is here and play by those rules, because you can't change them. I would love to. I miss all those things and enjoy them and all that other stuff, but in order to save it, you got to burn it down.
Yeah, but the one thing I'll say about going back to Freep and News, doing buyouts and everything is Detroit is a hell of a news town, and it punches above its weight in terms of the size of our city, and we generate headlines globally. there's the auto industry here. I mean, you've always had, in sensational crime stories. There's the story about Detroit's comeback now, which is pretty incredible. We got 4 major sports teams. You go on down the line. We need a vigorous press, and the politics here too, of course. I mean, we need people covering Mayor Duggan's administration. The dissolution of the local news media is not a good thing. I mean, and you're talking about these papers have been institutions here for 100 and whatever years, 30, 40, 50 years. It's going to leave a mark.
We don't. As someone who I consider myself at this point in my life apolitical, like I don't care what you think. I just want to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I can't be the only one. The only news that I will watch right now is Vice News on HBO. It's a half an hour, and it tells me what's going on, and I don't care what you think about it. Just tell me what's going on. I'm smart enough to form my own opinion.
Right.
Or at least I'm mildly...
Which is the old-fashioned way of doing it. And,
right.
I mean, a lot of outlets are getting away from that now, and there's a whole argument about, well, maybe we should be just, going in the direction of like Fox News or MSNBC and more partisan.
No, because all they're doing is telling people what they want to hear. I don't need a Bill O'Reilly or a Rachel Maddow or anybody in between.
Everybody has the chance to share their opinion. Opinions have become the commodity. Facts, I think, are, it used to be facts were everywhere.
Give me my numbers and let me form my own opinion.
I mean, that's one of the reasons why we've moved over the last few months to, if there's an opinion piece, we slap opinion in the first thing. Yeah. And, we try to limit it to once a week or once every 2 weeks on something that's a big deal that we think is important to view. Outside of that, it's like, let's get back to the basics. And sometimes we deliver it in a short form, sometimes whatever, but you got to get to that. You got to win that trust back.
It's gone.
Yeah, I mean, why has that trust been, where's it gone? I mean, and why has it gone? I mean, there's been this steady attack for, decades.
I still blame CNN.
No,
about
they were first. Well, no, it goes back to
the media has got a liberal bias or whatever. I mean, it's
but then you have Fox, which is Republican, and then everybody's like, "Well, that's fake news because it doesn't think like me." And then
once you went to a 24-hour news cycle, you had to start inventing shit.
Yeah, I think that was
to fill up that space, and that's where it all started.
We used to get it all in an hour,
right?
Well, and I mean, I know you hate this word, but curation, it matters.
Can you pivot from curation
and change a paradigm or two? Yeah.
But why? So for us, we look at it as why run an AP Wire story because we will never cover Syria better than one of the national outlets will. But we're going to cover the hell out of Metro Detroit.
Right.
Forget the wire services. Throw out the junk. We have fluff pieces. Yeah, we have stuff that's entertaining. People love it. That's part of it too, right? You talk about fun stuff. You talk about serious stuff. But have a true local focus on what's going on. And I think
those best 5 hamburger pieces are important, Jared. Don't sell yourself short.
Hey, you know what? It'll blow your mind. You put 36,000 people will come through in a week.
I know. Was it Dickie's opening in Sterling Heights?
I know. And
that caught fire.
That caught fire. I'm like, wow. All right. Well, I mean, but that stuff's part of the community, right? So part of a community conversation is that it's all those facets.
It needs to talk about. He needs a whole story on Bad Brad's pig candy.
Yeah, you keep telling me about
this. I figured that out at home.
Oh,
I can do
did
it.
you?
Oh yeah, I'll tell you all about it.
Ooh, yeah, you've been telling me about this, and this could be a revolution in the barbecue world.
If Bad Brad's opened up in Corktown, it would be all the rage.
Isn't it funny how sometimes places create stories out of things that maybe aren't as great as they would, you know what I mean?
Well, it's because we've talked about it. This is the opposite of what we usually go into, which is, oh my God, you take that place out of Corktown and put it in the suburbs, crickets. But this place in the suburbs, crickets, you put it downtown, it'll annihilate everybody.
And you take the Outback from Hall Road and put it in Corktown and it's toilet.
Yeah.
But
that would be terrible.
There's an hour wait on Saturday night because you can't get in a restaurant on Rochester Road or on Hall Road to save your life.
That'd be pretty funny to see an Outback open up on Michigan Avenue.
Would they like Applebee's? Would there be a parade like there was for Applebee's? I think there would be.
We would start it.
That Applebee's on 8 Mile by the Mire, 8 Mile in Woodward.
No, we know it very well.
It's that parking lot. I live near there, and that parking lot is packed all the time.
You should go to DetroitApplebee's.com. Just point that out.
They own it.
Yeah,
really.
We don't. Someone did.
Someone did. There may or may not be a story of us in Applebee's Detroit T-shirts that we made up on opening day.
The pictures in the lobby if you want to see.
Yeah, exactly.
See, the pictures
there's a great story there. All right, so hey, let's wrap this up and bring this to a close. Jer, Sven, where do we find you guys at?
DailyDetroit.com, and on the Facebook, let's look for Daily Detroit.
Okay, and Michael, we already said we're going to find you a much better URL to get this done. I'll probably do that before I go to sleep tonight. And then Mark, we find you?
FallingDownBeer.com.
Awesome.
I'd like to thank our sponsors tonight, Indeed Prime and VMware, the podcast. On behalf of Bob and Dave and Nuri,
you lost me with that syllable emphasis. What was
podcast. On behalf of myself, Bob, Dave, and Nuri, we look forward to seeing you at December 8th at Falling Down Brewery. Just do us all a favor. Drink up your drinks. Get your phone numbers. You don't got to go home. You just got to get the hell out of here. See you next week. Beat it.
The emergency destruct system is now activated.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Long live Flash! You've saved your ass. Have a nice day.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Nice shooting, son. What's your name? Murphy.
Make the run. The run. Game over, man. Game over.
It's over, Johnny. It's over.
Nothing is over. Nothing. You just don't turn it off.
I can't say no, and I don't really want to, so.
Well, especially with the back doors open.
Yo! Hold up! Time out! Time out! Y'all take a chill. You need to cool that shit out. And that's the double truth. Ruth.
Bob loves it in the can.
I hope this was as much fun for you as it was for me.
That's why I like it in the can.
Joe on the cheese.
Beer me.
My job is to make sure this program is morally upright and cultural and wholesome.
Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy! Shut up, Mimsy!
Why would Buick put their cars next to the Bentleys? Why? That's not marketing.
The alphabet.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, I can't take that position.
That analogy sucks because it's right.
Because you're getting your 8-track tuned up.
Are we at a break yet? Yeah, so now I'm just doing stupid stuff to make me laugh.
Venture capital is not the end game.
When are we going to talk about me?
Jane, you ignorant slut.
It's my show. I can say what I want.
Yeah. Kiss my ass, go home, unplug, get off the goddamn internet. You are everything that is wrong with the internet right now.
You're so white right now.
I'm the whitest guy in the room. Just explain it to me.
I love this city.
I was banging on the wang.
Really? Should we talk about this? Tag team it. Should I keep going or should I stop?
Can I just say, it's been great being on a show that talks about Mickey Rooney dying for 20 seconds and then poop for 10 minutes.
This is a previously recorded episode of the IT and the D Show.